Joining us via webcam, we have an Apple shareholder, Kenneth Schapiro, president of Condor Capital, Apple being one of Condor's top holdings. Good to have you back on the program. Good to see you, Ken. So what about Apple results? My goodness, blowing away expectations. You think that after they missed the quarter before, maybe they'd struggle this time around, but not the case.
I have to say it's probably the largest company I've ever seen with the fastest growth, the most earnings, selling for the cheapest multiple ever.
How can it be cheap? We're looking at $450 right now for the stock. I think at least on a PE basis, the last I checked was still in double-digit territory. You think it's still worth buying into at these levels?
On a PE basis, you're probably looking at a company that's selling at 12, 13 times this year's numbers. The estimate on the street is around $35, $37. They've been consistently beating that. Last year, they earned $27. So I think on that basis, it's quite cheap. I think if they have some more products coming out and some more growth, I don't think it's unreasonable that we couldn't see a $600 stock here.
$600 stock. So what are you doing? You're just going in to buy as many Apple shares as you can?
No, we're not buying as many Apple shares as we can. It is already our largest holding. I'm not saying that I am buying more, but I think it has a very compelling valuation, even at these levels, with a company that's growing their earnings at 30 to 50% pretty consistently.
Yeah, that's interesting. So why aren't you buying more Apple shares then, Ken? Can you explain that to me?
It's really a portfolio decision. We can't weight too much in any one particular company, so that really limits our ability to buy more shares here.
All right. Well, let's go through some of these results because we're looking at sales growth here in the Asia Pac up 50%. Can you believe that Apple selling 37 million iPhones, 15 million iPads? I guess the question is, can they keep sustaining this considering we just went through that holiday period?
With 15 million iPads, they're representing around 15% or so of the entire PC market. We were just talking internally. We see that number of pads versus PCs and laptops maybe being in the 30 to 40% range in a year or two. So we think that there's still some upside room there. In the smartphone area, they're growing faster than the market. The market's maybe growing at 30%, and their sales are growing at a much more rapid pace. They've done a great job of shifting their products down, taking the less advanced one and moving it cheaper as newer, more advanced models come out. You do have an iPhone 5 launch that's going to happen this year.
Yeah, even with the ongoing sovereign debt crisis, they increased their sales across Europe as well. So you're not counting this stock out because before last quarter, they came out and beat expectations each and every quarter. You can count on that. Is that what you're expecting from Apple from here on in?
I don't like to make quarter-by-quarter estimates. I think that there's pretty good visibility out a quarter or two. It really depends on the iPad 3 launch and going forward, the iPhone 5 launch. I think they have an interesting product in some type of iTV coming out this year. I don't see that being a big revenue generator this year. However, I think in future years, you could see a pretty quick ramp-up of that product as well.
Okay. Ken, thank you for sharing your time. Good insights. So Ken Schapiro of Condor Capital.